and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. I am Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by the yin to my yang, the Gareth Bale to my Hal Robson-Kanu, the Harry Kane to my Dele Ali. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Listeners will probably know at least 3 of those names, and hopefully when this preview show is done, they'll know all 4.
And more.
Yes.
And more.
And more, yes. Hopefully our entire Group B preview show is not just 4 names that you said at the very beginning of the show.
The Gareth Bale one is kind of an insult, or kind of it's like I'm doing the hard work to open up spaces for you to shine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with
that?
that?
Yeah, that checks out. And then I make all the money. Perfect.
We'll see if any of us make any money. So today's show is Euro 2016 Group B preview. It is England, Russia, Wales, Slovakia. Mm-hmm. We're going to go through team by team. We're going to give you a sort of overview introduction to each team, and we're going to give you our very specific predictions for each team.
First things first, though, Daryl, peek behind the curtain. Are you going to be able to record this show with one eye on the clock?
I will have to, because yes. We're recording this 4 hours from USA versus Colombia kickoff, the kickoff of the Copa America Centenario. So we do not know the score of that game right now.
We do not know that yet. We don't know if there's been any breaking news. Maybe James Rodriguez is stuck in traffic and might not make the game. That would be ideal if you're a U.S. men's national team fan.
I don't know the interstates around Santa Clara, but I hope one of them is blocked.
They sent him to the stadium by way of Nebraska, I think. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so while we wait for kickoff for that...
He always finds a way to get open, though, so he will get through traffic somehow.
Oh, man.
He's got like a Batmobile. It's a car that turns into a little motorbike.
Even in the joke, you made it real. But yeah, as we wait for kickoff, we figured, why not talk about more soccer?
Group B, yes.
So off to Europe we go.
And especially England. Okay, so like I said, it's England, Russia, Wales, Slovakia. Right. I want to start with England, and I do feel like the other previews I've heard of England all follow a very similar theme. And it's like, where should Wayne Rooney play? Is he good enough to still be playing? And England's defence is terrible. And I feel like no one can get beyond those two things. I'm hoping, Taylor, that we make a breakthrough on behalf of soccer punditry today to have a proper conversation about the England national team and their chances at Euro 2016.
Yeah, that sounds good. But first, I want to do a 15-minute rant about the roster selection and how Roy clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And obviously there were better choices, and England are a laughingstock again.
Well, this is a good place to start for me. Roy Hodgson is a much more exciting coach than you think.
And I think.
Everybody.
I was like, what?
Because if you look at Roy Hodgson, right, he looks, and I kind of love him. He is like a lovable uncle. That's why they call him Uncle Roy, right?
Yeah.
He looks like he's kind of boring. He has a reputation for dour soccer. Like if you remember Euro 2012, England were kind of compact defensively, kick it long to Andy Carroll kind of thing. This England team is a revolution compared to the England team of 4 years ago.
And I think part of that, I just want to interject to say that I do think that there are people, if you're like a recent convert to the game, and by recent I mean in the past 4 or 5 years, you probably know Roy Hodgson as England manager. You might know him as former Liverpool manager, who's kind of fired.
Yeah, kind of fired.
Kind of fired and kind of disgraceful setting before that Fulham. But then and that might be the extent of what you know about him. But I mean, has managed other national teams, has managed abroad, has had lots of jobs.
He's managed Internazionale Milan.
Yeah, managed Switzerland. Yeah. He's done big things. He's been all over the place. And so he is this guy who maybe you look at and you say oh, he's just like another English manager who's been in England. He only knows England. Yeah. But he's done a lot and learned a lot.
This is a lifetime of experience being brought to bear on a national team that has a lot of talent. And he has turned it into a very, I want to say, attacking team that plays an attractive style of soccer. They sometimes high press and chase you down and get the ball off you. They move the ball faster and better than any England team I can remember watching in recent memory.
It's one of the youngest teams in 30 years that England has brought to a Euros.
Right, and they have all kinds of exciting talent. They have a goal scorer who can't stop scoring in Harry Kane.
And a goal scorer who can't stop scoring in Jamie Vardy.
Right. So I want to talk formation, because I feel like a lot of people don't talk formation with England. It is complicated because Roy Hodgson keeps having slightly different shapes, and England keep winning, weirdly. So it's like we're never clear which is the best way to go.
Sure.
Right?
It actually kind of ties into one of my predictions, if you want to get to that, and then we can go back to our general conversation.
If you'd like to.
Sure. My second specific prediction was going to be that there will be at least one diamond-themed pun or headline in a British newspaper. I've got a few. Because
I just thought of one.
So all the talk is 4-3-3 versus 4-1-2-1-2, which is that diamond.
It's either 4-3-3
Yes.
with Harry Kane at the tip, essentially, as the front three, or it's a 4-4-2 diamond with two strikers, one of whom is Harry Kane, the other's probably Jamie Vardy, with Wayne Rooney in behind. Those are the two basic options.
Right.
Okay.
So I've got diamonds either are or aren't forever.
That was going to be my one. If they
depending.
lose the first game playing a diamond, diamonds aren't forever is the headline.
This one might take you a minute. England snatch victory with the diamond.
Like a diamond heist?
Snatch. The movie Snatch, remember? The diamond is a central part of that film.
I think you're giving headline writers too much credit. I don't think the headlines are that subtle.
England shines on with Crazy Diamond. Diamonds and Rust, the Joan Baez or Judas Priest version, or Diamond is Roy's best friend instead of Diamond is a girl's best friend. There you go. So I'm thinking there would be some pun either like complimentary of like we were wrong, which is not really the English media style. So more like after maybe a 1-1 draw against one of these teams. Oh, the diamond didn't work. Diamonds aren't forever. Or maybe he changes because the diamond didn't work.
Well, let's go with this. What do you think is the best way for England to start? Is it with a diamond where you sacrifice the width, or is it with a 4-3-3 where you sort of end up with someone playing out of position, right? If it's 4-3-3, then you end up with maybe Jamie Vardy being more of a left winger than a forward, or you end up with Wayne Rooney being sort of to the right or the left of Harry Kane?
I think it's tough because I'll say two different things. The first thing is I do like that front three, but I like that front three with Kane in the middle, Vardy on one side, Rooney on one side.
Right.
But I think the way that that Roy Hodgson has structured this roster, got there eventually, it does seem like the diamond makes more sense. I think the reason why people are so critical of it is just because England didn't play the most beautiful soccer of all time against Portugal in the friendly yesterday. They only won 1-0 against a Portugal team that was down to 10 men, which people might say is like, oh, well, they only had 10 men, you should beat them. But it's Portugal then playing very defensive, not wanting to get beaten right before the tournament. So it's not a fair estimator of what England are going to look like with that diamond.
I made the mistake after the Portugal game of listening to some BBC Football Radio phone-ins, and people were very upset about the idea that Kane and Vardy were essentially nominally the two strikers, right, two centre forwards. But because of how Portugal was so compact and Wayne Rooney sort of snuck up from the tip of the diamond in behind them, they ended up being pushed wide, looking for space because Portugal was so tight. That is not Roy Hodgson's fault. That is not him saying, hey, Harry Kane, play right wing, Jamie Vardy, play left wing. That is those two players trying to figure out a way to get around a defensive, compact Portugal who were hanging on because they only had 10 men because Bruno Alves kicked Harry Kane in the head.
Right. Yes. And minor point, but credit to Harry Kane because he does get a boot very close to his face, if not in his temple, and gets back up and keeps running because he knows he's on the break.
Yeah.
That should make you happy if you're an England fan.
Oh, it does.
Because he's looking to get a goal right away.
Well, okay, I'm going to go with my first prediction then. I want to come back to this whole conversation, but my first prediction is Harry Kane will score at least 3 goals in the group stage. He's going to average a goal a game in Group B.
I like that prediction, and I like it because I think we both are still sort of coming from the same mindset, which is like this team is good.
Yes.
They're very good. They have, and there are certainly reasons to be like kind of doubtful of aspects of the squad, as there are with literally every team in this competition. Except for maybe Belgium. But even then. And so I think that it's easy to get sort of down on a team after a quote-unquote bad result. I don't think it was that bad of a result. I would see it the opposite, which is that against a compact team that was doing everything they could possibly do not to concede a goal, England still scored a goal.
Yeah, Chris Smalling.
Yeah.
And all 3 friendlies, England won 2-1 against Turkey, 2-1 against Australia, 1-0 against Portugal. No one seemed happy about it.
Right.
That's a good run of winning all your warm-up games, playing various shapes and people in different places, and it kind of worked every single time. I want to get back to my prediction, though.
Sure.
The reason Harry Kane will score 3 goals is not just that he seems to be the one guy that's sort of guaranteed to play forward, right? Wayne Rooney may play as a forward and may play deeper, so I don't want to make any guarantees about how many goals he's going to score. Harry Kane will play as England's main forward. He is in form. He is also, it seems to me, capable of shooting on target from any angle you choose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's what Harry Kane does.
Absolutely.
It's because Harry Kane has the confidence.
He absolutely does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's good.
And the technique. Did you hear the BBC interview? It was Rory Smith and Chris Sutton. I think you may have directed me to this radio show.
Was it when the roster was first announced, the official 23?
Yes. But so it was a long conversation with a lot of arguing about where Wayne Rooney should be. But I can't remember who it was. One of the guys said that the youth team coach that worked with Kane said that he was the guy when he was younger. After practice, he was the guy that always went to keep practicing, keep shooting. All he does is practice hitting the target from various angles. So that, and you can see it in his game. Like he only has to open up a tiny bit of space, and he'll take the opportunity and he'll hit the target.
Have you noticed that? Like, I feel like that's the third conversation we've had recently, either or heard about or talked to people, where it's like a player that made it or a player that was really good. All they ever wanted to do was work. Yep. Like it was like we talked to a friend of ours who knew Danny Carbassian growing up, who was on the show previously, and it was like we'd be on a road trip and they'd stop the car and Danny Carbassian would get out and juggle. Yep. Like that's what he wanted to do. He'd kick it against the side of a gas station, which I'm sure the gas station owners loved, until they filled up the car. And Harry Kane, the same thing. Like that's kind of what it takes. And so again, it should show you the level of dedication and the overall ability of these players.
There you go.
So, and I do want to have the caveat that like I don't think either one of us is saying like, forget these questions about formation or roster. They're definitely going to win. That's not what we're saying. But I think we're saying it's a very good team with a lot of talent, and there's reason to be excited. Yeah. We're not necessarily saying that, like, forget that result. They're going to go out. They're going to win every single game. They're going to the final. We're just saying one result does not make or unmake a team. And so it's better to look at all of the parts you have. And I think there are very good parts there.
Speaking of all of the parts, the knock against this England team, every preview I've read, every radio show I've listened to, every single place has said, yeah, but England have a suspect defence. But nobody ever goes any deeper than that.
Well, it's suspect.
And explains why the defence is suspect.
Because it's suspicious.
And suspicious characters.
Yeah.
But people seem to think that England are leaking goals. And I thought, this doesn't feel right to me. So I went back and looked at the stats. In the last 10 games, England have conceded 7 goals. That is less than a goal a game, obviously. If you look at like other teams of like pretty big size. France have conceded 13 goals in the last 10 games. Germany, 15 goals in the last 10 games. Italy, 13 goals in the last 10 games. Belgium, 11 goals in the last 10 games. The only country I leave out is Spain because they've only conceded 3 in the last 10.
But I'll go one further and say, was it Romania who had the best... Was it Romania or Albania who had the best goals against record?
It was Romania, only conceded 2 in qualifying.
England conceded 3. And scored 31. They had a plus 28 goal difference.
Yeah.
So it is definitely not such like this leaky ship that you're going to have to score goals to make up for it. Certainly there are, again, question marks, but it is, I think, that what people do is you look at it and you're like, Chris Smalling, but remember he got that red card and he can be a little bit wandery. Yeah. John Stones didn't have a great season. Gary Cahill getting old. Maybe not.
He's not John Terry.
Like it's just you kind of go to the things. Which I think people are screaming at me now because I'm going to say, like, you go to like the things that stand out in your memory, and I'm sure some people would say, well, there's a reason because that's what they do. Like, if it stands out that he got a red card, it's probably because he's going to get a red card or be tactically not very disciplined. Yeah. But I think that that's not necessarily what these guys do. They play very good defense as a good defensive unit.
And I have 2 theories about this. I think the first theory, and they could work together. My first idea is that it's essentially the defenders are not as lauded or as famous or as like quote unquote sexy as the forward players, right? Yeah. Like no one's excited about Chris Smalling except maybe me and his family and Jose Mourinho now. You know what I mean?
I like.
You
I'm
too?
pretty excited. I'm pretty excited because the last 3 goals that England has scored, all 3 have come from Manchester United players.
And then the other thing is England do sometimes play, not always, but sometimes they kind of high press and they move the ball forward quickly and get forward quickly. And that means that your fullbacks, who are very fast, like Kyle Walker or Nathaniel Klein on the right, Danny Rose or Ryan Bertrand on the left, they are tempted to run forward and leave some space in behind. So I think people are slightly worried about that. But the big key for me is Eric Dyer. This is the thing that changed England for me. Playing Eric Dyer as the holding defensive midfielder in front of a back 4 not only makes England more solid because there's a dedicated Kyle Beckerman type guy. He's sort of Kyle Beckerman plus, right? Shorter hair, longer range of passing.
Shots fired one way or the other. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's offended by that.
I just mean that it's a guy who is willing to stay home and do a very effective defensive job, which England haven't had for a very long time. That to me makes the England defence a lot more solid, and I would sort of question the idea that they're suspect defensively based on that.
So
they are shielded.
What's going to happen is they're going to concede 1 goal, and you're going to hear about it. But
maybe. Well, here's my prediction. This is my very specific prediction. England will concede the fewest goals in Group B.
We'll see. Wales might want a word with you.
Right. We'll talk Wales. Like their defensive thing is fascinating as well.
Very fascinating.
The other thing I want to say is when you do think of guys like Chris Smalling, like we're talking about, he is a risk taker. He's that Sergio Ramos type. Like the ball's come in, I'm going to go and get it, and that means that when he misses, it's high profile and it looks like big defensive error for England defender. But really, it's like 90-something% of the time he's beating you to the ball.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So I think the defense is solid, but if you want to talk about maybe silly cards, Should we talk about a certain gentleman at
we
this
have
point?
to?
We do.
So I'd sort of forgotten about this.
So
and
had
I was
I.
all excited for England's chances. And when you started telling me about this and you started listing what had happened, I started to get worried.
So here's the thing. I actually texted Daryl dibs on this prediction months ago. And it's that Dele Alli, I think at the time I said he'll get a red card. I've adjusted it to say Dele Alli will miss game time due to cards. And that could be a number of different things. But I forgot about this until yesterday's game against Portugal, when he's kind of vying for the ball, it goes out of bounds, and he's contesting that it went off of him. The official is given a goal kick, and it's basically Dele Alli saying, no, it didn't go off me, and it's Ricardo Carvalho saying, no, it went off of him, definitely. And Carvalho, the crafty veteran, as he's protesting, kind of shoves Dele Alli a little bit, like kind of puts his hand out and touches him. And
it's a Diego Costa thing, right? Where you look like you're doing one thing, but you know you're secretly doing the other thing to provoke the guy.
But Dele Alli immediately turns and gets in his face and is all agitated. And doesn't get a card, but obviously attracts the attention of the referee.
He's also a friendly.
Exactly.
Right?
And he's done
you
this
got to do
again.
something pretty dramatic to get sent off in a friendly, like Bruno Alves.
And he went in super hard in another friendly on Anthony Martial, injured Anthony Martial in the Paris friendly, which was kind of not the time to be super aggressive in an international friendly. But you've got suspended at the end of the season for punching Claudio Jakob, obviously. Some would say it's deserved. That's not my point here. There's the off-the-ball conflict with Mark Noble. Yep. There's the face-to-face headbutting with Mitrovic. There's the stamp on Cabaye, alleged stamp.
All right, we get it.
He kicked a Fiorentina player in the stomach while that player was on the ground.
All right.
Threw a ball at Patrick Van Aanholt's face. Allegedly tripped Mbemba from Newcastle. Shoved Juan Mata. Left his foot on Timothy Fosu-Mensah. And then this incident yesterday against Portugal. So there's just all of these little incidents where it's Dele Alli doing things that he doesn't need to do.
And the reason this worries me is because I think Dele Alli is super important to England. Like I know he's kind of an international newcomer, but he is. I feel like he's one of the first names on the team sheet. Not least because whatever formation we play, whatever formation England play, I correct myself.
Yep.
For some journalistic integrity, Dele Alli is part of it.
You know it's recorded, right?
Yeah.
There's no delete. I mean, there is a delete. We're not using it here.
So he could be the one who plays behind the strikers.
Right.
And when he does it with Harry Kane, Ali behind Kane, it's essentially recreating what was so successful for Tottenham Hotspur for like 36 of 38 games.
Right, and that was part of the reason
season.
why people were frustrated with what you mentioned before about Harry Kane and Jamie Vardy drifting wide, is that it creates a bigger disconnect between Dele Alli and Harry Kane.
Yeah.
People want to see them in tight quarters together, doing the quick interplay that they did for Tottenham this season.
And I honestly think I would love it if it was that, but I also understand that Wayne Rooney is the captain. Wayne Rooney is, I still think, a magnificent footballer.
Right.
I love the way he hits a crossfield pass. I love the way he makes space for himself. So I'm okay to sacrifice that to get Wayne Rooney in there. But when Dele Alli's in the team, he can play deeper in midfield than that. He could theoretically play the holding role if Eric Dyer has to go back to defence or if he's out of form or whatever. And in the end, you are going to get, I think, you can get like 5 or 6 Tottenham Hotspur players in this England team. And weirdly, that's what gets me excited, to have that sort of structure of guys who've spent a whole season together playing a really attractive, aggressive style of soccer. That forms the nucleus of an England
Absolutely.
team.
There was the great meme.
You sprinkle some Vardy on top.
There you go. There's the great meme doing the rounds of it was when Roy Hodgson first had all the England players together and they're all in camp and they're all huddled around him, and the caption was like, Tottenham players, do what you do. Everyone else, do what the Tottenham players do.
So just to do it off my head, it could be Kyle Walker right back. Could be. It could be Danny Rose left back. And again, I think that's part of the reason people feel England is suspected, because we don't know who the starting fullbacks are. But we're good even if it's Klein and Bertrand. I'm happy with that too. But okay, could be Kyle right back. Danny Rose left back. I know I called him vice first.
Yeah, he did.
Could be Eric Dyer holding. Could be Dele Alli with him in midfield. Harry Kane up front. That's 5 guys. That's half the outfield players.
Right. And I would like to see that, because Dele Alli is capable of being that amazing player. If you go back to the aforementioned France game, scores a screamer in that game, is the man of the match in that game, plays amazing, is all over the place. It's just that there is obvious evidence that he very easily loses focus when he thinks he's been disrespected or someone's in his face, and he doesn't have the wherewithal to be like, you know what? Not now. This is not worth it. And that's what I'm saying, is I think he could get a straight red, or it could be a situation where he gets a yellow and Roy Hodgson cannot afford to risk having him get a second yellow, so he gets subbed off at halftime or in the 60th minute because they can't risk 2 yellows.
I sort of agree. I think there's going to be a point where he proves his massive importance at a tournament level, and then we're robbed of him by his own actions at some point.
Go ahead.
I want to move on to my next prediction,
go ahead.
which is it ties in with a lot of the weird roster choices that Roy Hodgson made, that I am willing to forgive him right now. because I talked earlier about him being a more attacking, more risk-taking coach than people give him credit for. And I honestly think his decision to take, one, Daniel Sturridge, who's coming back from injury, and two, Jack Wilshere, is a good example of this. Like, he values players who can do special things.
Right.
And I think Jack Wilshere is the best example because he is arguably the England midfielder with the best understanding of space and passing and opening something up. So I think Roy Hodgson will be vindicated by a brief Jack Wilshere magical, glorious cameo. He will come off the bench or even just play half a game and get injured or something and do something incredible. He will play his way out of trouble, launch a move, open up some space, do something that results in a goal. There'll be some Jack Wilshere magic and it'll all be worth it. All the doubters will be proved wrong.
I feel like I'm going to be hypocritical here because I'm sure I've argued against this in the past. But I've heard a lot of people say that England needs to be a meritocracy, that you're supposed to reward people for Danny Drinkwater should be in this team because he won the Premier League this season. And I almost think
you would have got a medal for that.
But true. But I'm thinking about it now, and I do think that no, that's wrong. It shouldn't be a meritocracy. It should be what the coach needs to implement his system.
Right.
And if you look around at other national teams, James Rodriguez didn't have a great season with Real Madrid, but is the focal point of Colombia. If Jose Peckerman was like, you know what, you didn't have a good club season, I'm bringing in another,
right.
That wouldn't happen. Bastian Schweinsteiger had a terrible season with Manchester United, is in that Germany squad because he does Bastian Schweinsteiger things for Jogi Löw.
And the thing with Danny Drinkwater, so I mentioned this that I was sort of okay with it when we did our brief roster talk, right? From what I remember, he plays alongside N'Golo Kante, and it's this perfect combination, right? Kante does the interception, the tackling. Drinkwater does a lot of very smart, simple passing, and then his fair share of tackling, right? But it's the combination that makes it work in a two-man midfield. England doesn't play a two-man midfield. They play either the diamond midfield or they play a three.
Right.
And Drinkwater's been given a chance, only for 45 minutes at a time, but in various spots. He was given a chance at the base of the diamond in what will be the Eric Dyer role. He was given a chance as one of the two guys in the middle in the diamond and never really impressed. So it's sort of been proven that he can't do the same unless N'Golo Kante's alongside him, so you're not getting the same player.
Right. You're not getting the same player, and you're not getting a player that essentially the manager trusts and knows what he's capable of. Roy Hodgson might think Danny Drinkwater is an amazing player, and obviously he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But he just might
he's
not
in the
fit,
top 26 England players.
Right, but he might not
good.
fit what Hodgson needs of a player in that position, in that role. And I'll say honestly, I'm not a big Jack Wilshere fan. I think he tends to get into, similar to Dele Alli, situations he does not need to be in on and off the field.
Yeah, he does, and he doesn't take good care of himself. I've seen him smoking. I think there's a reason that he's got all these injuries, but I still think he is a magnificent... I've still got that thing in my mind of when he played against Barcelona for Arsenal, and he went sort of toe-to-toe with Xavi, Iniesta, Fabregas, Busquets, and looked as good at holding onto the ball and opening up space.
Absolutely, and that's where I think it comes full circle, because rather than say, Jack Wilshere hasn't played very much in the past 2 seasons, I wonder why Roy Hodgson brought him. There must be a reason. It's sort of like, oh, there we go. It's favoritism and nepotism, and he's just doing what he does. And like there's no kind of leniency towards Roy Hodgson. There's no kind of well, I'm assuming he wants him to do a specific role in a specific game, and that's why he's brought him as potentially the 23rd player in this roster. It's just sort of like, oh, same old, same old. And I think that's not necessarily laziness. I think it's more cynicism than anything else regarding England.
And then you've got James Milner, James Milner.
Thank you.
And you've got Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
Those guys will do the legwork, and they've got that extra talent on top as well. To me, they're the Danny Drinkwater with a bit extra. Right? And then Jack Wilshere is kind of your 23rd man luxury. And we haven't even mentioned Marcus Rashford. But he's also like a bonus player to bring off of the bench.
See, the way it works is I say something about Manchester United, and then I have to wait for you to say something before I can say something again. But actually, you did text me, a final thing for me at least about England. You did text me that we wondered if England played that 4-2-3-1, why you bring 5 strikers. Now we understand, right? Because if you have those 2 strikers with Rooney in behind, that's 3 of the 5, and all of a sudden now you have 2 subs on the bench.
You need spares.
Yeah. It makes sense. And especially if one of those spares is Daniel Sturridge, who still might not be 100%. Now you have
but it's still
one spare.
Yeah, you have an extra spare in Marcus Rashford.
An extra spare. Hooray!
So just in summary, I am more optimistic about England than I've ever been. I believe I said the same thing before the 2014 World Cup.
I think I said the same thing before the 2012 Euros.
All right. So, take it with a grain of salt, but I mean everything I just said. Shall we move on?
Well, we had a long conversation. So to recap, Dele Alli, for me, misses at least some time due to cards. and a diamond-themed pun in one British tabloid or newspaper.
So I had 3. I guess it's my the land of my birth, so I get a bonus prediction. Harry Kane to score at least 3 goals. Jack Wilshere to have a majestic cameo that proves Roy Hodgson right. And England will concede the fewest goals in Group B because their defence is not suspect, even if there are occasional mistakes.
I like it. I also have to say one final thing about England. It's USA Soccer Guy's fault. Every time we talk about him, I want to call him Jack Wilshere. If you don't know USA Soccer Guy, follow him on Twitter. And if you want to get his shirt, which is the greatest England shirt ever.
Yes, I tweeted it. Yeah. 3 lines on a shirt, and then it is literally 3 straight lines on a shirt.
So good. All right. Enough about England.
England's first opponent will be, on June 11th, Russia. Russia, your World Cup 2018 hosts. Fabio Capello is no more, at least in terms...
I was going to say, what?
At least in terms of coaching Russia.
How very Soviet Union in the 1940s.
Capello is out. The qualification for Euro 2016 was not going well. And he had a contract through to 2018 World Cup. They nixed that.
And I think it was one of the most lucrative contracts.
Yeah.
So they done paid some bills, basically.
They did. And then they hired Leonid Slutsky, who is the CSKA, which is how you pronounce CSKA, correct?
CSKA.
CSKA Moscow coach. He is still the CSKA Moscow coach. This is kind of a temporary gig for him, right? He is filling in. If things go well for him at this tournament, if things go well for Russia, there is going to be a showdown between CSKA Moscow and the Russian Federation.
Say more.
Oh, because we just read a story before we started recording that the CSKA president or chairman said that if they want to buy him out of his contract, it will be, and he put his little pinky in his mouth, $1 billion US. Right. That's the compensation they asked for.
Which made us both pause and be like, he meant rubles or something, right? He didn't mean that. And no, it's more, it's exactly that. They value him so highly that they're like, you're paying all the monies.
I think it was just a high starting bid.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Leonid Slutsky has turned this team around.
Absolutely.
He has changed it from the dour Capello-ish team that Capello creates and turned it into a really attacking, exciting team with, I'm going to call it one big striker, we'll talk about him more later, 2 really exciting fast wingers, 1 playmaker, and a not so exciting but very, very, very experienced and familiar defence, right? And essentially, because of the CSKA thing, this Russian team, I look at it as being built in blocks. Right? The goalkeeper and 2 defenders, CSKA. 2 of the 3 forwards, Zenit. It's built in like blocks of CSKA and Zenit. And the 3rd forward, who is not Zenit, used to be Zenit.
So it's one of those very, very domestic-based squads, which on the surface is like, oh, well, they don't have any superstars. Like, you don't have the big names of the past. Andrea Pirlo is like, the big one that comes to mind. But that's almost more dangerous because it reminds you of that Russia team from 2008 Euros, where it's sort of
before you'd heard of Oshevin.
Right, no one knows about them, and all of a sudden they just come in, and it's a blitz, and they really, really go at teams and knock a bunch of big names out.
To be honest, I am fascinated by this. I genuinely think there are Russian players who are talented enough to go play for most leagues, play in most leagues in Europe, but choose to stay in Russia. And I feel like there's money at these Russian teams, not least because of oil money, right? Like CSKA and Zenit, they've got oil money. They play Champions League soccer fairly regularly. And I think there are a lot of players who could go west, right? I did imaginary compass. They could go west to Western Europe.
Go west, young man.
But they choose not to because there's money there and because they're comfortable in Russia.
Right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me, that it's Russia's Russia. It's unlike many other countries.
There's only 1 non-domestic player. His name is Roman Neustaedter. He plays for, I've forgotten which team he plays for, but I know it's in Germany.
Well, I'm ready to go with this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, my specific prediction is that Roman Neustaedter's Russian will dramatically improve by the end of this tournament.
Does he not speak Russian?
I don't know, is my honest answer to you, because he's a 28-year-old center back / defensive midfielder who has 1 cap for Russia, which he got on June 1st. Here is your background. Okay, first of all, I'm going to do my best. He was born in Dnipropetrovsk. I did my best, which is in present-day Ukraine, so not Russian, but he was born in 1988 when it was the Soviet Union.
Just under the wire, right? Just under the curtain.
And if you'll forgive me, I did a little bit of a Wikipedia black hole. Very quick summary is essentially that his ancestors were ethnic Germans living within the Russian Empire, and essentially after World War II ended, the Soviet Union forcefully moved those people into Central Asia, moved them away from those kind of the areas that were their homeland.
Got it.
His family moved back, but his dad is Kazakh, played for Mainz, managed Mainz 2. That is where Roman plays now. So he was eligible to play for Germany, Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Had played for Germany at U20, U21, and senior levels, but they were friendlies, so he was still eligible to play for Russia. Met Russian officials January of 2016, made Russia's squad on May 21st, became a Russian citizen on May 30th, got his first cap on June 1st. So it's been a rushed process to get him in, which to me says he's going to be involved in this tournament.
Yeah.
Will probably be a defensive midfielder.
Right.
And so is probably going to have to work on his Russian in case it doesn't sound like it's the language he speaks natively.
So that sounds like then we'll get a defensive midfield pair of Neustaedter and the magnificent Igor Denisov, who I think people will probably be familiar with.
Yes.
He's a really impressive defensive midfielder. I think at Euro 2012, he had a really good tournament, I think. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that incorrectly.
Sounds good to me. And I think it was Euro 2008 when Russia did big things, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
But here's a good example. Denisov in 2008 was left out of the team because of a massive disagreement. Denisov is trouble. Igor Denisov is trouble, but he's worth it. That's the big thing.
So I'm not sure how we can gauge this prediction other than maybe we'll see if Roman
We'll watch him communicate on the team.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, well, like, if he does a post-match interview, we'll see what language it's in and how awkward and stilted it is.
Does he pick up on Igor Denisov's insults to him?
We shall find out if there's a fist fight in the middle of the field.
So we talked about the how exciting Russia can be. The man missing is Alan Jagov.
Right.
He is the guy, I think he plays for CSKA as well. He is the guy that...
Checks out. Yeah.
that most people will probably know. He's kind of always been the up-and-coming Russian playmaker, deep-line playmaker he's always been playing. He is injured.
He did a Wayne Rooney.
But he is out. He is out. But the man who's going to be pulling the strings, this is not my prediction, I'm just really excited to share this, is named Roman Shirokov, and he has done what I call a reverse Andrea Pirlo.
Explain.
So Andrea Pirlo was an attacking midfielder who someone had the bright idea, you should play deep and do all your playmaking from there. Somebody said the opposite to Shirokov, who is now 34. They've moved him up the field. Now he plays behind the big striker with fast wingers either side of him and does like some incredible passing work from there. So many outside of the foot, no-look passes, so much creativity, all flows through Roman Shirokov. So just basically keep an eye on him because he's having the time of his life. Imagine playing defensive midfield your whole life and someone says, you know what, you're in number 10.
You're free.
2 thumbs up and you're going to a tournament.
What I've decided is the case, even though it's probably not, and I haven't seen any photos of him, is that he really is the reverse Pirlo. So he started his career with long hair and a beard and just has gotten increasingly youthful and clean-shaven as he's aged.
He's just cut an inch every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So speaking of excitement, the guy I'm most excited about is the left winger who plays for Zenit. His name is Oleg Shatov. Here is my very specific prediction. Oleg Shatov will bring futsal skills to the masses.
Okay. So does that mean that he's just going to shrink the ball down? Like the ball goes out of bounds, it's a size 5. All of a sudden he takes the throw and it's a size 3.
It's a low bounce size 3.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar, I feel like maybe half our audience is familiar with futsal, half not. But it is essentially, imagine a basketball court, more or less, right? 2 goals, hard court floor, and a heavy ball that doesn't bounce. There are professional leagues in the world that people only play this game.
With a field hockey goal, I would say, is the goal size that you're looking at.
And it's a lot of really tight ball movement, right? Because you got to work this ball. It's a lot of foot on top of the ball and then weird rolling the ball and flicks and tricks, and it's incredible to watch. You can very easily go down a YouTube hole watching futsal on YouTube.
You can, and it's also the type of sport that it's really, really good for establishing fundamentals and getting young players to work on first touch.
Ronaldinho and guys like that grew up playing futsal.
But it's not necessarily one that translates very well to the professional game. So there's the famous, is it Falcao, was that his name? In Brazil, who's one of the best futsal players there is in the world.
The best.
And then
he's the best in the world ever.
Got a contract to play full field soccer. Didn't go so well.
No.
Didn't really stand out.
I looked into this. He played for Sao Paulo in 2005. He got 2 games, and they were like, you know what? You don't understand the full field game. Right. Go back to being the best futsal player in the world.
Right.
Oleg Shatov
there we go.
Was still playing futsal in Russia in 2011. He was, I think, 21 years old. He's 25, 26 now. Then he got his move into 11-a-side soccer, and now here he is playing for the Russian national team at the European Championships. He'll probably be at the World Cup when they host it in 2018. So he will bring futsal skills to the masses. He'll probably make Falcao really jealous.
Oh, man. If you're talking about putting your foot on top of the ball, all I want to see is an Okocha. And I'm not even going to elaborate on that. I'm just going to say, if you want to know what I mean, search Okocha move, and that's all you need to know.
He does do those weird, unorthodox things.
Right.
I've seen him like run up to a ball as it was slowing down, and like he sort of jumps over it and does like spinning like leg rotations in the air, and then spin round and go. Like it's a lot of weird stuff like that. The defender was really confused because when do you see that? So he brings this unorthodox style of play to Russia's left wing, and he's dangerous with it as well. So right. Oleg Shatov. Keep your eyes on him.
Okay. Well, keep your eyes on this man, because I'm calling this tournament the tournament of Akinfeev's redemption.
The goalkeeper.
Igor Akinfeev will remind everyone that he's actually good as a goalkeeper.
2014, yes.
So he had a howler in 2014. I think basically just spilled the ball and gifted a goal that really hurt Russia.
Very un-Igor.
But the thing about Igor is that I have heard about him since high school. Since 2000, I have heard about Akinfeev because one of my best friends in high school is Russian and is a goalkeeper. So I heard all about how this guy Akinfeev, everyone should be signing him. He's incredible. And he is a very good goalkeeper. By Slutsky's own admission, he had huge saves in qualifying and at cup level. He had a big save in CSKA's final match of the season, which I believe won them the Russian Premier League. So he is this very good goalkeeper who tends to have these kind of momentary dips that really cost him in terms of international standing. Because there was a time when he was linked with all of the big clubs as the next big goalkeeper. And so I think in this tournament, he's going to have at least one performance where you're like, oh, that's right. He's actually pretty good.
Well, I have a prediction about the defence in general.
Go ahead.
So there is this unit, right, of Akinfeev, and then ahead of him, it's Sergei Ignashevich and Vasily Beresutsky. They are all CSKA players.
Right.
So there is a central defensive three-man unit, goalkeeper and two central defenders, who have been together, I think, forever.
Yeah,
I was reading Euro 2012 previews talking about these three guys, right?
I was going to say, euphemistically, you'd call them experienced.
Right. So here's the other thing. Yeah. Ignashevich is 36. Beresutsky is 33. And there have been concerns, again, since Euro 2012, concerns about their pace. Not just about them being old, because, again, Beresutsky was, 29 in Euro 2012? They're just not fast centre-backs, essentially. They are good centre-backs. They sort of organise well. They will tackle you if you run into them. But if you're in a foot race, you're probably going to beat them, as was proven against Belgium in the 2014 World Cup.
So they proved it against themselves?
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this. Belgium-Russia was the second game of the group, World Cup 2014. Belgium win it late with a Divock Origi goal, 88th minute. It's because Russia have pushed forward, Belgium break. And I can't remember who the winger is. I can't remember if it was Mertens or Hazard. Gets down the wing, and they're just too fast for Beresutsky and Ignashevich. It ends in a Belgium goal, Origi. They win 1-0. Russia are basically out of World Cup 2014. So my prediction is that this could happen again.
Right.
They will be outpaced. Ignashevich and Beresutsky will be outpaced because you think who's in this group? England have pace with guys like Sterling, Vardy, and so on. Gareth Bale's plenty fast.
I've heard of him.
Hal Robson-Kanu's fast for Wales. We'll talk about him in a bit.
Marek Hamšík is fairly quick.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fast players that this Russian defence is going to have to go up against. And because they have kind of exciting attacking players themselves, they'll end up getting forward. Russia will.
Yep.
And then they may get burned on the counter.
So you get a little bit stretched, and all of a sudden, Gareth Bale's in behind. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. So, we've got England, Russia. We've got two more to do in this group, unless you've got something else for us.
I have one more for
Russia.
What you got? We cannot leave without talking about Artyom Dzyuba, if only because I wanted to pronounce it correctly.
I'm proud of you.
Artyom Dzyuba is a 6'5" striker. I think he's going to start for Russia. He will bring back the comment, good touch for a big man.
Ooh, I like it.
So, yeah, he's 6'5", plays for Zenit. He does score a lot of headed goals, but what he mostly does is find space in the box. He's surprisingly hard to keep track of for a large gentleman. Find space in the box, bring balls down, and then smash them home.
So two things about him, first of all. Number one, led Russia in scoring in Euro qualifying, had 8 goals in qualifying.
Yep.
Number two, I actively did not want to talk about Russian strikers in my predictions.
Why is that?
Because in 2014, one of my predictions was that I believe Alexander Kerzakov.
Yeah.
I think it was like he would either be top scorer or he would score like amazing goals or he would get a big money move because of the goals he scored. Failed. I think he had the most shots with the fewest number on target of any player in that World Cup.
He'll be getting none this time because he was left off of the final roster.
But I was like, doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not jinxing Russia. I'm not jinxing myself. Because so far, Fred and Karzakov have made me feel like maybe my striker predictions, not the best.
So do you remember the thing we were talking about where Josie Altidore was failing to bring a ball down, like the one that comes over your shoulder and you should try and jump and take it, rest it on your foot, bring it down, and then you try and shoot?
Because he jumps and doesn't take it in stride. Yep.
Zuba seems to be really good at this. I watched a lot of his highlights, his goals for Zenit, often with an Oleg Shatov, the futsal player, link up, him chipping balls over. He's so good at finding space, first touch, brings it down dead, bangs it home. So he will bring back good touch for a big man.
So to clarify, he good?
He is good.
He good.
Yeah.
Okay, he good. Nice.
He big and good.
He big and good. He good for a big man.
So, as we mentioned, we haven't seen USA-Colombia yet.
We've not.
That game is happening tonight. Our review will be out later. We have Wales and Slovakia still to preview in the second half of this show. But first, we have a sponsor, Taylor.
We do. Today's sponsor is SeatGeek, the web's largest event ticket search engine. They've simplified the online ticket buying process. Other sites not only make it complicated, they also make it more expensive by adding sneaky surprise fees at checkout. SeatGeek has solved both of those problems by not doing either thing.
And you can search in the SeatGeek app for Copa America Centenario tickets. You will get the full list of games. You will see how much the cheapest ticket is for every game. You can also click into the game and look around the stadium. You can see where you want to sit, and it will show you the price for the ticket. The price that it shows you is the final price. There are no sneaky fees.
Right.
There is no sneaking around. This is the final price that you see when you get to checkout. You can also search for European Championship 2016 tickets.
That's what I was going to say. If you're one of our European listeners, if you're one of our regular listeners traveling to Europe,
if you're a jet setter,
you can use the SeatGeek app over in Europe as well to get yourself some tickets.
You just have to search for UEFA Euro Cup, and it will show you like an event listing. Every single game is listed with the prices for the ticket. And it gave me an idea while I was looking at this, which is that you don't only have to use this to buy tickets. You can also use it just to search for things that are happening. So I would encourage you to download the SeatGeek app. Even if you don't plan on purchasing anything, download the SeatGeek app. You can use it as a sort of entertainment search.
Absolutely, because you can go online and use it, via your computer.
Yep.
But it is nice to have the app in front of you because you can search, as we did, like to see what's coming up in Richmond, and like, oh, they're coming. I didn't know that they were still around. How much are tickets? Like, it just kind of lets you know what's happening in the
Hello,
city.
Mountain
almost.
Goats. If you're
yeah, but also just different comedians. I'm a big Bill Burr fan. To find out that he's playing, I think the closest place is Baltimore. Is what we established. Like, I wouldn't have known that. I would not have. I didn't even know he was touring right now. So it makes me very excited. So it's a good thing. Just if you're bored, it's another way to be like, oh, let's see what's going on in the world of entertainment.
Or if you're sad.
or
maybe
if you're sad.
Again, we haven't seen the game, but if the USA-Colombia game goes badly and you want to go out and cheer yourself up, you can use the SeatGeek app to search for local comedy that's coming up nearby. Go and cheer yourself up, or go celebrate if it goes well.
And the key thing there is, like, if you're promised that the United States is going to play well against Colombia up front, and then halfway through the game things go south, see, it's the same thing as like the hidden fees at the end. With SeatGeek, you don't have to worry about it. You've got the prices up front. You know what you're getting. You don't even have to wait.
So to download the app, it is SeatGeek, SeatGeek. I assume that you geek out over the seats, right? That's why it's SeatGeek.
Or that it's like the idea is that they put their geeks to work to make it possible for you to get seats.
I see. That works. That also works. Because it's an online aggregator of all ticket sites, so you get all the tickets for the events in one place. That's the idea, okay?
Exactly.
So you download the app, and if you use the code TSS for Total Soccer Show, use that code if you check out and buy tickets, and you get a $20 rebate off your first purchase.
So download the free SeatGeek app and enter the promo code TSS today. Daryl, spell it one more time. SeatGeek. Did I pass? You did. I love listeners. Daryl legitimately spelled that like he was in the National Spelling Bee. And I'm really happy you didn't ask me to use it in a sentence.
I noticed because when they do the Spelling Bee stuff, they take a pause between each letter to make sure they don't make one of those dumb mistakes.
Yes.
Which I feel like I was going to do because I didn't have it in front of me.
Yeah, but you could have even bought yourself more time. You could have been like, country of origin, and it might have taken me some time. I'm assuming it's an American company.
You said American?
Could be wrong.
All right, two more previews left for Euro 2016 Group B. Russia surprised me. I honestly went into that thinking, this team's going to be kind of dour or boring. I remembered the Fabio Capello stuff. The more I looked, the more excited I got.
Yep.
I sort of feel the same about Wales.
Yeah.
My conception of this Welsh team was initially Gareth Bale and 10 other dudes, or Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, and 9 other dudes. They are much better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely. So they were second in qualifying Group B, 2 points behind Belgium, 4 points ahead of Bosnia, which might not sound like that much, but it is Bosnia, who are very good and have, the big name players, the Edin Dzeko's, the Miralem Pjanić's. So to get ahead of them and to get the results that you need to qualify, already impressive. But it's also the way they qualified in terms of playing smart soccer away from home and at home, scoring big goals. Gareth Bale scoring big goals. It's an exciting qualification campaign.
So part of the overview, this is Wales' first tournament since 1958. Most of us in our lifetimes have not seen Wales in an international tournament, even though they've had likes of Ryan Giggs and Mark Hughes and Dean Saunders and all these great players. This is the first tournament they've been to. This is a big deal. It is a huge achievement by Chris Coleman, building on the work of Gary Speed, who sort of died tragically in 2011 after he nearly made it to, I think, Euro 2012, to a tournament.
Right. And I want to say that I think part of the reason why... Well, first of all, Gareth Bale has been the name that everyone talks about. The stat you'll keep hearing is that he scored, I think it was like 7 goals in qualifying, but he assisted on 2. Wales only scored 11 in qualifying, so it was like 9 of the 11 goals were Gareth Bale related.
Is this one of those things where it's right that Gareth Bale is the key to all of it, but it's also wrong?
Well, no,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's wrong, but I think it's what has happened is that Wales, for lack of a better way of putting it, they're confusing. And I think when the team is confusing in terms of the formation and what they're trying to do, you kind of lock onto the thing that is most familiar. And in this situation, it was Gareth Bale scoring goals, but sometimes it was as an out-and-out forward, sometimes it was a support striker, sometimes it was out wide, because the biggest thing, and it's something that I have in my prediction if we want to get to that, is that Wales change it up as the situation necessitates.
Oh, and you sent me the Wales Online, I think, walesonline.co.uk maybe,
like that,
story, which was... Chris Coleman, I keep saying Gareth Bale, Chris Coleman, the Wales coach, at a UEFA coaching license workshop, and he details his approach for every single European Championship qualifier with Wales and why they did what they did. And it is the most helpful thing I've ever seen for people who are doing previews for a tournament. Do you know what I'm saying?
Indeed. So, Mr. Grove, I'm going to say some formations. You're going to count. You ready?
What? Oh, yeah, okay.
3-5-1-1.
1
3-1-3-2-1
2
4-2-3-1
3
4-3-3
4
4-4-1-1
5
3-4-2-1
6.
6 different formations in qualifying is what Wales did.
Plus, we just gave someone their lottery numbers.
It's a very weird Lost-esque code right there. Right. But yeah, so it's essentially, as he talks about in that coaching seminar, Wales consistently changed it up based on the opponent. So they're not just playing this 5-4-1 or 4-5-1, get that ball to Gareth Bale, let him do stuff, everybody else sit back.
That's the key, yes. So if it was just Gareth Bale, it would be everybody behind the ball, kick it to Gareth, everyone cross your fingers.
Yeah,
it's not that at all, is it?
No, it's not at all. It's basically players that are unheralded, or maybe for different reasons, either because they play in Wales, because they play in the championship, or for example, Joe Ledley, who I'll talk about again in a minute. He is kind of on the outs at Crystal Palace.
You guys have the same beard, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why he might be in there, maybe. But kind of on the outs at Crystal Palace, maybe doesn't get that much attention except for the beard, but does such an important defensive role for Wales, patrols the defense, shields the back line, that but it's but he's not Gareth Bale, so it doesn't really matter.
Right, and if you think of Aaron Ramsey is the one guy that gets credit when people want to prove that they're not just talking about Gareth Bale, but they don't want to go any further than researching an Arsenal player, right? So there's Aaron Ramsey, who's obviously a goal-scoring threat, really classy player. Ashley Williams is a wonderful centre-back. Wayne Hennessy starts for Crystal Palace in goal in the Premier League. Ben Davies, the left-back or left centre-back, starts regularly-ish. Him and Danny Rose are in contest at Tottenham Hotspur. Right. These are guys, maybe 7 or 8 of this team are playing at a very, very high level. They're just not playing for the Champions League winning team like Gareth Bale, so suddenly it's all about Gareth Bale.
Yeah, even with Davies, fine, even if he's not starting regularly at Tottenham, he's competing for a starting spot. I know a lot of teams in this tournament would happily take a guy who's competing for a starting spot at Tottenham.
Absolutely.
Put it that way, yeah. So my prediction overall is that Wales will utilize at least 3 distinctly different formations in the group stage. So I do think they settle on the 3-4-2-1, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
But what we saw with Chris Coleman throughout the qualifying process is that he caters that formation to, number one, the players available. So if there's injury, so he's not afraid to change it up. And number two, the opponent.
Yeah.
So there was like the good one when they were away at Belgium.
Yes.
And they thought that Jan Vertonghen would come forward because that's what he tends to do. But because, I guess the theory was he had played with Gareth Bale at Tottenham, he stayed back. And so then Chris Coleman was like, oh, he's not getting forward. We can shift our game plan based around the fact that now they're not attacking through that one side, so we can go down that right side because they're staying back.
And this is what I like about how they use Gareth Bale. They do use him. It is their focal point of their tactics. But like we said, it's not just kick it to him and cross your fingers. It is, let's create opportunities for Gareth Bale to exploit. And I think, I mentioned him in the intro, the guy who does it for me is Hal Robson-Kanu, was playing at Reading in the Championship, plays centre forward, but basically his job is to run and open up space for Gareth Bale to get into.
So this is unprecedented, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and do my second specific prediction now. A Hal Robson-Kanu run will create a goal for Wales.
Of course it will.
That's what I'm going with. I stole this one from your playbook because he is, again, a lesser-known, relatively unheralded player who's now out of contract, right? He was released. He's not good.
Yeah, that's also not true. I think Hal Robson-Kanu let his contract run out knowing he was going to the Euros. I think he knows that people will get a look at him, so he's available on a free. And someone will be like, wow, who's this player who's been linking up with Gareth Bale for this whole tournament and looking really good? He's going to get a big move.
Right.
He's going to get a move somewhere where maybe is too good for him, but I'm going to pat him on the back. Well, I'm probably not because I never meet him. I'm going to congratulate him for doing so.
There we go. But the bigger thing that I want to get to is that he's more naturally a winger. He prefers playing out wide, but for Wales, he plays up top.
Right.
And he is not sort of a proven goal threat. He's not an out-and-out striker. What he is very fast, and he doesn't stop running. Yeah. And that's where I'm saying I think what he's going to do is be that distraction where he runs all over the place and essentially compensates for his lack of natural striker play with movement. Yeah. So he's going to drag a defender one way or do what he's told, and Chris Coleman is going to say, you check this way, then you move that way. That will take that defender away, and that opens up space for Gareth Bale.
And Aaron Ramsey. Are there other players coming through who could score?
I think, but I think, I just said for Wales. I didn't say specifically for Gareth Bale, so we're good. So that's my other prediction. I do have one more, but I'll let you do at least one before I get to that.
I get to play as well?
Yes. So I've done two now. Go ahead.
The thing I would say as well is the reason this works is because Gareth Bale isn't a dick about it. Right? He's not telling people where to go and demanding the ball and not giving it back to them. He knows he has a role to play. It just so happens that his role is to be the guy that dribbles at people and shoots from distance and makes things happen, right? Yeah. And it seems like he's not selfish or greedy about it. And I get the feeling, based on the way he treats his teammates, that he's genuinely feels like part of the team, not like the King of Wales.
I have bought into the hype, I guess, but I've read multiple different teammates talking about how it's so strange that he is playing for Real Madrid, winning the Champions League, is this internationally known figure, and is like, I can do that. Like, he just doesn't mind doing the dirty work. He doesn't mind playing out wide and shuttling and doing defensive work. It doesn't seem like he's very prima donna diva at all.
And that just occurred to me. We talked about Hal Robson-Kanu opening up space for Gareth Bale. There's still Bale is given a role, right? Because he's told, this is the area where we're going to open up space for you. This is where we want you to go. It's not like open up space and then you do whatever you want, Gareth, because we kiss your feet, right? His role just happens to be the goal scoring role.
This is true.
And so, to my prediction, Gareth Bale will be the most fouled player in Group B. He may be the most fouled player in the entire tournament.
Oof. It's a solid pick.
Because he's going to be running at people, and he's going to... So I think if he's running from deep, people may just be like, let's bring him down here and not let him get over there. Yeah. Or he's maybe a Russian defender's going to catch him late, or there's something like that is going to happen.
Or like the James prediction, or like the James kind of preview we did for Colombia versus the United States, where everybody knows he is this major player, so they're just going to over-focus on him, and that might lead to hacking him down or pulling him back.
He's going to get fed up, but he's also a big fella, and I feel like there'll be times when it won't count for my prediction because he won't technically be fouled because he'll get hacked out and he'll keep going.
Here's a topical one for you. It's going to be like there's a scene in Little Giants when one of the bad players tries to tackle one of the good players and they're just holding onto his jersey and the good player still runs in for the touchdown and the other player's being dragged behind.
I haven't seen that movie. I feel like I've seen that scene.
There you go.
Do you have any more predictions? I've got one more for you.
I have one more.
Why don't you go next?
I say that Joe Ledley will prompt at least one announcer to make a "I wouldn't want to dance with him" joke.
Why's that?
Because, first of all, as you mentioned, Joe Ledley looks mean. He's got the big beard. He tends to scowl.
Yeah.
He has this like kind of like weird little small mouth thing that he does, where you can just see these tiny little teeth behind a giant beard.
He looks like an unfriendly Nat Borchers.
Yes, he does, with darker hair, obviously. Yeah. But when Wales sealed qualification away at Bosnia, which is not a place that I would maybe do this in the middle of the field, you can find the video of it. Joe Ledley does this weird like shoulder dance with the arm with palms upturned, going back and forth. And like I saw one Welsh TV station asking people to submit their own videos of them doing the Joe Ledley dance. So he likes to dance. He looks a little bit menacing, and he is a physical player. He's going to be that defensive shield. So I could just see him like crunching someone in a tackle or just booting the ball away and amping everybody up and an announcer being like, ooh, wouldn't want to dance with him.
You think he'll dance after the tackle?
No, it'll just be more the announcer like alluding to the dancing sequence, but making it into like, oh boy, he's rough.
Well, let's hope the ESPN announcers have done their research.
Indeed.
I have a final prediction, and it's about the defence, because we haven't really talked about the defence. The fascinating thing you talked about was the back three.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare in international soccer. Wales very well may start with a back three. And it's going to be, at the centre of it all, Ashley Williams of Swansea City fame, ? Because I'm not sure he gets the respect he deserves for the defensive work that he does. But I think Ashley Williams leaves this tournament a legend. A Welsh legend for the defensive work he does, and an international legend as well. I think people will take note of the defensive rock that is Ashley Williams in this tournament, because I think he'll have things to do, and I think he'll do them successfully. He's big, he's physical, he'll beat you in a challenge, he'll beat you in the air. He's also surprisingly fast. He will beat you on the ground. So I think with the back three, he's going to be the focal point. He'll do a lot of defensive work. He'll catch the eye. It'll be defensive work that catches the eye.
Yeah. You know, one organization that hopes he doesn't have a very good tournament.
Swansea City?
No, the Richmond Kickers.
Oh, yes!
The Richmond Kickers, our local club, have announced that they're playing Swansea City in a preseason friendly.
Yeah,
or mid-season friendly, if you're a USL team.
Oh, I can't remember the date exactly.
I think it's July 18th, maybe.
I thought it was 19th.
That could also be.
We'll definitely announce it closer to the time. We may get to do commentary on that game.
We may well.
Ooh.
But I wonder if they're hoping that maybe Wales just get knocked out in the group stage and Ashley Williams goes back to Swansea. Who knows?
You mean because they want him to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want him to be here. I want to see Ashley Williams play.
I want to see Jason Yardley challenge Ashley Williams in the air and see what happens.
Yeah, I think we know what'll happen.
no
disrespect to Jason, but Ashley Williams real good.
Yeah.
Real fast, real strong.
Hence my prediction. He'll be at the heart of the Welsh defence. He will make incredible defence. It'll be like Paul McGrath versus Italy in 1994.
Lovely.
Can we give me one final word on this Welsh defence?
Sure.
The back three is interesting to me because Williams is central, but to his left is Ben Davies, who is a left-back, playing left centre-back. And to his right is Chris Gunter, who is a right-back, playing right centre-back. So it means those guys are good at defending the wide spaces, or experienced at least. And they also, I've seen Chris Coleman say that if they are getting beat out wide, like say if the Russian wingers are getting at them, they can switch to a back four because they've already got two full-backs on the field.
So they're versatile. They've got a strong defence, a strong attack. So if Wales get it all together, maybe all of the people of Wales are celebrating at the end of this tournament? Could be.
They could be. You may even be people from that crazy... you remember that train station with the funny name?
It's like Vicente Goga. You know what? I'm just going to have my mother-in-law do it. So thank you to my mother-in-law, Helene, who I believe is some percentage Welsh, maybe 50%. I'm not entirely sure.
So that means your wife is some percentage Welsh?
Yes, I think she might be a quarter Welsh.
So will you guys... Actually, this is a genuinely interesting topic. Will you guys be supporting Wales, or will Margaret, your wife, be supporting Wales?
I think Margaret will be supporting me doing the shows and probably won't watch much soccer. But it is like that weird lineage aspect because...
The Euros fascinates me in this way because you choose a team, right? And a lot of people will choose a team based on... My grandparents came from there.
Yeah, so I think she had like also the genetic survey or whatever. So she's like 36% Irish, like 25% Welsh or something like that. So
those companies have missed out on a huge thing. They should have done this in like March or April. Like,
deciding your rooting interest.
Yeah, get your test and we'll tell you which team to root for at the Euros.
So she has that combination and some like Italian in there and some other stuff, and then I'm pretty much just 100% English. So yeah, I think for me it'll be England with a little bit of Wales thrown in, and then a little bit of Ireland, because
fair enough.
I think everyone in the United States has some Irish blood, right? Isn't that what we've established?
It's pretty much it.
There we are.
So Euro 2020, we're going to get Ancestry.com as a sponsor, and we're going to push the pick your team with Ancestry.com.
I like that. I also think that she was 2% Eastern/Central European, so maybe she'll be supporting Slovakia slightly.
Well, if she is, she should listen to this final segment of today's show.
There we are.
Because the final team in the group and Wales' first opponent is Slovakia.
There we are.
So Slovakia missed the 2014 World Cup, but if you remember them from the 2010 World Cup, it's still quite a few of the same players. They are coached by Jan Kozak. They are, in my opinion, similar-ish to Wales in that they have one key guy with a silly haircut, and his name is Marek Hamsik, the Napoli attacking midfielder.
And here's where I will give you my first specific prediction.
Oh, that's fast. Okay.
Going back to my wife. Either my wife or my mom will ask me, who is that guy? And the answer will be Marek Hamsik.
Because he's doing something incredible?
Yes.
Or because of that haircut?
Yes. I also have not informed either one of them of this prediction, so we will know for sure if it happens organically. But yes, it's physically, he's got the mohawk, he's got the tattoos, he's super skinny, so it's very... I did an article or a gallery for Paste Soccer about the people who could be extras in the TV show Vikings. Marek Hamsik was in there as this kind of crazy-looking guy. For that, but also because he is so skillful. He was Slovakia's top scorer in qualifying. He was their main attacking threat, so he'll be on camera a lot for any number of reasons. So I feel like she might walk by and be like, whoa, who's that guy?
Yeah, and he's got the shaved side of the head. It's really, he really sticks out.
He's got a proper mohawk. There's some guys on Slovakia with the faux hawk, or maybe it's kind of just the budding mohawk. Miroslav Stoh looking in your direction. But Marek Hamsik, it's a good 4 to 6 inch mohawk.
And so we want to talk about Marek Hamsik, the player. What he does, he is super energetic. He will drive at defences. He's also very, very good at sending the ball out wide, then making his run into the box, then being on the end of a cross.
Yep.
Right? That is what Marek Hamsik does wonderfully. And Slovakia are set up pretty much for him to try and do that. It's a 4-2-3-1. He's the guy behind the striker. He's got wingers either side of him. He's got a striker ahead of him. So my prediction is that Marek Hamsik will have one moment of magic, probably a goal where someone, he'll drive at a defence and score from distance, or he'll send it wide and get on the end of a cross, but not enough to get out of the group. So there'll be one Marek Hamsik. Hamsik, is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not sure which one. I was going to ask you that one. Hamsik. Either one.
We'll do a handshake after.
Yeah.
So. One moment of magic, but not enough moments of magic to get out of the group.
Well, while we're on the subject of moments of magic, I've got one as a prediction as well. Miroslav Stoh, the aforementioned Miroslav Stoh.
Spelled Stoch.
You got
it. Remember.
Yeah. He will do something ridiculous and probably pull it off. So that could be, again, a little bit of the physical background.
Well, where does he play? Which position are we expecting to see him?
He will probably as a winger, attacking midfielder. Probably a wide player, probably on the left, if the highlight reels are any indicator.
Okay.
Cutting inside, getting shots, and getting low crosses tend to be his area of expertise.
Got it.
But again, doing crazy things. So he won the 2012 Puskás Award for a direct volley from a corner.
So Puskás Award is for the most impressive goal of the year.
Right. From any league, anywhere in the world. Can be anything. And this one, it was like a lofted kind of moonball corner that he hits from about 25 yards out first time and just buries to the back of the net. But he's also, again, he's another exciting looking guy. Tattoos, mohawk, loves a little celebratory dance. He does a little samba dance. But I made you watch the video so you know who he is. He loves a cut back. He loves a cut inside. He does moves all over the place and tends to pull them off.
Yeah.
He's the only person that has ever made me contemplate sort of rooting for Fenerbahce, because he used to play for Fenerbahce, who I do not enjoy in the Turkish Super League. He's been on loan at Bursaspor this season. Didn't have a great season, so I don't think he will start for Slovakia, but if they're chasing a goal, if they need a bit of a pick-me-up, if they need to try to get some attacking gears going, I think Miroslav Stoh comes in and does something ridiculous and probably pulls it off.
And just a note, Slovakia's last game, their warm-up game, beat Germany 3-1.
There we go.
Not doing too badly.
There we go.
At least in their warm-ups. Looking to their defence, the man that everybody will recognise is Martin Skrtel of Liverpool fame. My prediction is Martin Skrtel will get suspended. Martin Skrtel will miss a game in the group or in the knockouts if they get there through suspension. This is because Martin Skrtel is aggressive. Martin Skrtel is competitive. Martin Skrtel will grab you if you try to go past him or get away from him. He's very handsy. Right? And it's part of his strength is that he often weirdly gets away with it, but I think sometimes he goes too far. You know what I mean? He gets in a bit of a wrestling match. I think he's going to end up doing that with, for example, Gareth Bale, maybe some England players again, especially if he'll be fired up to play against these guys that he knows from the Premier League. So Martin Skrtel will have impressive performances, but will pick up yellow cards and get suspended.
Yeah, I could see him grabbing a jersey or doing something on a set piece and getting a yellow card for that, and then having that last-ditch tackle to bring down Gareth Bale. Yep. There's your second yellow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good shout, Mr. Grove. I have one more for Slovakia, if you don't mind. It's there was a recurring theme with the two players I selected, And I'm going to say that Slovakia will supplant Chile as the team that most closely resembles a dystopian future gang. You've got plenty of mohawks.
Yeah.
You've got shaved heads. You've got tattoos. If you look at like the Guardian interactive preview, every profile is essentially this menacing-looking kind of scowl. Yeah. They just look like a group that you would not, a motorcycle gang that you would not want to come across in the Fury Road. Put it that way.
I don't ever want to be on the Fury Road.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Things are already bad if I end up there.
Even if it's a lovely day? No? No one do it for you?
One final note, or two final notes. That back four will be protected by Juraj Kuka, plays for Milan. Keep an eye on him. Final note, we don't know who's going to start up front. We know it won't be Vitek, who's sort of their more veteran striker. Mm-hmm. He was left out. It's going to be Nemec, Duris, or Sestak. I honestly don't know much about any of those guys. I just know that there's a competition for who starts, and it's not been decided yet. But Duris did come off the bench to score a header against Germany.
So, lots of questions to be answered maybe in that first
game? The answer is always Marek Hamšík.
Yes, I think so. And maybe that would lead to me getting a prediction point early, and I'm okay with that.
So there you go. That is your Group B preview. What have we learned from all this then, Tyler? Do you have any feel for how this group's going to shake out?
I mean, it's the recurring theme in doing these previews that you look at the group on paper and you're like, okay, England and then Wales could be maybe interesting, Russia, whatever. And like you do the research and they're all very captivating teams. Mm-hmm. But I think that Russia-Wales game, I'm really excited to see because it seems like it's going to be a defensive team versus a team that's very flexible but also tends to play defensive and then hit on the break. That's how Wales like to play. Mm-hmm. So to see how those two teams adjust, that's the game I'm really excited to see.
And once again, any of these teams could go through in third place. Euro 2016, 4 of the 6 third-place teams qualify. So any of the teams you've just talked about could make it to the knockout stage. That's what makes it exciting.
There we go. What about you? Any games you're excited for in this group? I can't think of any that you would particularly want to see.
I was thinking England, Russia, England, Wales, and England, Slovakia.
Yeah, check
that out. 3 games I'm really excited about.
Well, actually, I do want to ask you about that. You asked me about my rooting interests. Is there an extra level of, like, you want to beat Wales, or do you not really care that much?
No, it's more I'm scared that Wales game is something we would expect to win, but the stakes are weirdly raised, and it becomes this weird, like form goes out of the window for a derby type thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It could bite us.
Not obviously quite the same, but maybe USA-Iran 98? Element of one team is really up for it from a historical standpoint, and one is sort of like, uh-oh. That's going to be a problem.
It could be. But at the same time, I am genuinely looking forward to it.
Except it's flipped because one team plays a 3-6-1 this time. And it's not the U.S. equivalent.
This could be the Steve Sampson redemption group B.
Sure.
One thing just between us, not between us because we're recording it, one thing in terms of what we do.
It's going to be a terribly kept secret.
We have the USA-Paraguay game on June 11th. We also have the Richmond Kickers game, and there's that England game against Russia. I think the Kickers game, the first half at 5 p.m, kicks off at this just after the England game ends. There's going to be some overlap. I'm going to be torn between my national team and my local team, and my job.
I also think we have 3 Euro games that day, and my niece's birthday.
Wow.
June 11th. It's going to be epic.
Put many circles around it on the calendar.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to our Euro 2016 Group B preview. Obviously, C and D and E and F still to come.
Look at you know in the alphabet.
Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening. We'll obviously be back early Saturday morning with our review of USA-Colombia, however that goes. One final word. I just want to remind people that last episode was sponsored by MacWeldon.com.
MacWeldon.com.
Exactly. If you purchase anything from MacWeldon.com and use the coupon code TSS, then we, Taylor and I, will enter everybody who does that into a draw to win a US national team jersey.
Indeed.
Sort of sweetening the pot a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Honeying the pot with extra honey.
That's what you honey things with.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It'd be weird if you didn't.
Thank you for taking the time to be the Gareth Bale to my Hal Robson-Kanu today.
Daryl Grove, thank you for taking the time to be my Gareth Bale to my... I messed it up. Daryl Grove, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon and every day.